Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. His war fleet moved through space like a pack of metal wolves. 200 ships spread out in perfect formation, their hulls scarred from recent battles. The Centauri rebellion was finally over, and they were heading home. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Kim rubbed his tired eyes. 3 years of war had aged him more than 10 years of peace. His crew looked just as worn out. They had won every battle, but victory always came with a price. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Choi Min-ho from his station, "we're picking up something strange." Kim walked over to the communications officer. Choi was young, maybe 25, with quick hands that danced over his controls. "What kind of strange?" "Signal, sir, very weak. It's not coming from any human colony." Choi frowned at his screens. "The language is completely unknown." Commander Park Dong-wook looked up from his intelligence station. He was Kim's oldest friend and his most careful advisor. "Could be a trap," Park said. "The rebels might have alien allies we don't know about." Kim considered this. The Centauri rebellion had surprised them with new weapons and tactics, but the war was over. They had seen the rebel leaders surrender with their own eyes. "Play it," Kim ordered. Strange sounds filled the bridge. It was clearly a voice, but unlike any human language. The tone was desperate, pleading. Even without understanding the words, everyone could hear the fear. "How long to decode it?" Kim asked. Choi's fingers flew over his keyboard. "The computer is working on it now, sir. Maybe an hour, maybe more. This language is completely new to our systems." Captain, Lee Sora entered the bridge. She commanded the battleship Iron Will, one of the fleet's most powerful ships. Her uniform was clean, but her face showed the same tiredness they all felt. "Admiral, my crew is asking about our course. Are we still heading home?" "For now," Kim said. He couldn't stop thinking about the desperate tone in that alien voice. "Choi, put all our best people on this. I want that message decoded as fast as possible." Park frowned. "Sir, with respect, we don't know anything about these aliens. Our supplies are low. The crew needs rest. We should continue home and report this to Fleet Command." Kim understood his friend's concern. Park was always careful, always thinking about the risks. It was why they had survived so many battles together. But something about that signal bothered Kim. The desperation was too real to ignore. "1 hour," Kim said. "If we can't decode it in 1 hour, we continue home." The next hour felt like a day. The bridge crew worked quietly while the computers processed the alien language. Kim paced back and forth, unable to sit still. He had learned to trust his feelings during the war. Right now, those feelings told him this message was important. "Got it!" Choi suddenly shouted. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at him. The computer found patterns. "It's translating now." The alien voice came through the speakers again, but this time human words appeared on the screens. Kim read them aloud. "To any who can hear this message, we are the Kalani. Our worlds are dying. The devourers have come. They consume everything. They take our people, our memories, our lives. We have heard stories of the humans and their great war fleets. Please, if you can hear this, help us. We offer everything we have. Our shield technology, our star maps, our knowledge. Please help us before we are all gone." The bridge fell silent. Kim felt his blood grow cold. He had fought many enemies, but something about this message frightened him in a way battles never had. "Admiral," Sora said quietly, "this could change everything. If there's a threat big enough to destroy entire alien civilizations, it could be heading for human space next," Park finished. His face was pale. "But we don't know anything about these Kalani. This could still be a trap." Kim studied the star charts. The signal came from a region of space they had never explored. It would take days to get there, and they would be far from any human backup. His ships were low on supplies and his crew was exhausted. But the message played in his head again. The fear in that alien voice was real. Kim had heard that same fear in human voices during the worst battles of the war. No one could fake that kind of terror. "Dr. Yunjina, to the bridge," Kim called over the ship's communication system. The fleet's chief medical officer arrived quickly. She was also their best expert on alien life, though they had never met any living aliens before. "You heard the message?" Kim asked. "Yes, sir. The translation seems accurate. But Admiral, we know nothing about these Kalani. They could be dangerous. Or they could be victims," Kim said. He made his decision. "Change course. Set heading for Xiao." The source of that signal. Park stepped forward. "Sir, I must object. We should report this to Fleet Command and let them decide. By the time we get home and Fleet Command sends another expedition, these Kalani could be dead," Kim said. "We're the only human fleet in this region of space. If we don't help them, no one will." Sora nodded. "I agree with the Admiral. My ship is ready for whatever we find." Kim looked at his bridge crew. They were tired and scared, but he saw determination in their eyes. They had spent 3 years fighting for human colonies. Now they had a chance to fight for something bigger. "Send the order to all ships," Kim commanded. "We're changing course to investigate an alien distress signal. Tell the captains to prepare for anything. We don't know what we're going to find out there." As the great war fleet turned toward unknown stars, Kim wondered if he was making the right choice. But the desperate voice of that alien still echoed in his mind. Sometimes, he thought, you had to take risks to do what was right. The stars ahead looked the same as always, but Kim knew they were heading into something that would change everything. Behind them lay the familiar human worlds they had fought to protect. Ahead lay the unknown, and aliens who needed their help. The war fleet flew on through the darkness, carrying humanity toward its first contact with alien life. None of them knew that this decision would make them the guardians of the galaxy. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kalani system. What they saw made everyone on the bridges fall silent. Admiral Kim stared at the main screen, unable to believe his eyes. 5 planets orbited the local star. 3 of them were completely dead, their surfaces covered in writhing black masses that moved like living things. The 4th planet glowed with strange lights, and the 5th planet was where the distress signal came from. "My God," whispered Dr. Yunjina. "What happened here?" Captain Sora's voice came over the communication system from her ship. "Admiral, my sensors are picking up massive energy readings from those black masses. Whatever those things are, they're alive." Commander Park studied his instruments with growing alarm. "Sir, I'm detecting the remains of hundreds of ships in orbit around the dead planets, different designs, probably from multiple alien species." Kim felt sick. "How many species do you think lived here?" "Based on the ship designs and planetary signatures, at least 6 different civilizations," Park replied. "All of them appear to be gone." Lieutenant Choi's hand shook as he worked his controls. "Admiral, I'm getting a new signal from the 5th planet. It's the same Kalani language as before." "Put it through," Kim ordered. The alien voice was clearer now, but even more desperate than before. "Human ships, we see you on our sensors. Please, you must stay back. The Devourers will sense you. They are finishing with the 4th planet now. We are the last world left. Please come quickly if you can help us. We do not have much time." Kim turned to his senior staff. "Recommendations?" "We should send a small scouting force first," Sora suggested. "My ship and 2 others. If it's a trap, the main fleet can escape." "I don't think it's a trap," Dr. Yoon said quietly. "Look at those planets. Something terrible happened here. Something that could threaten all life." Park was studying his tactical displays. "Admiral, those black masses on the dead planets are moving. They're spreading outward like they're searching for something." Kim made his decision. "Sora, take your ship and 2 escorts. Get close enough to make contact with the Kalani, but stay ready to run. The rest of the fleet will hang back and watch those dead planets." Captain Sora's ship Iron Will moved carefully toward the 5th planet. Kim watched on his screens as they got closer. The planet looked beautiful from space with blue oceans and green continents. but even from far away he could see dark spots spreading across the surface. "Admiral," Sora's voice came through the speakers. "We're in orbit now. The Kalani are sending up small ships to meet us. They look peaceful, but they're asking permission to come aboard." "Granted," Kim said, "but full security measures. We don't know what we're dealing with." 20 minutes later, Sora reported again. "Admiral, you need to see this. I'm sending video to the fleet." The main screen showed the inside of Sora's ship. Standing in front of her were 3 alien beings unlike anything humans had ever imagined. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large eyes that seemed full of sadness. Their leader stepped forward. "I am Veltar," the alien said in perfect human language. "We learned your speech from your transmissions. Thank you for coming, but I fear you are too late." "Tell us what happened here," Sora said gently. Veltar's voice was filled with pain. "The Devourers came 6 months ago. They are not like other life. They do not just kill, they consume, they take everything. Our bodies, our minds, our memories. They absorb entire civilizations and use their knowledge to become stronger." "Doctor," Yoon's voice came over the communication system. "How is that possible?" Another Kalani stepped forward. This one wore what looked like military clothing. "I am Morden, commander of what remains of our fleet. The Devourers are like a disease that spreads from world to world. They land on a planet and begin consuming all life. But they don't just eat flesh. They absorb knowledge, memories, even emotions. Each species they consume makes them smarter and more dangerous." Kim felt cold fear in his chest. "How many species have they consumed?" "We know of at least 20 civilizations," Veltar said, "but there may be more. The Devourers have been spreading across this region of space for hundreds of years. We are the last free world in our sector." On the screen, Morden pointed to the dead planets visible through the ship's windows. 3 days ago, the Thakari lived on the second planet. They were great builders who created beautiful cities. Yesterday, the Devourers finished consuming them. Now their knowledge belongs to the enemy. "Why did you call for human help?" Sora asked. Veltar's large eyes seemed to shine with hope. "We have heard stories from traders who visited your space. They spoke of human warriors who never surrender, who fight with a fury that frightens their enemies. We hoped that if any species could fight the Devourers, it would be humanity." Park's voice came through the speakers, tight with worry. "Admiral, movement on the 4th planet. Those black masses are launching into space." Kim watched his tactical display as hundreds of dark shapes lifted off from the dying planet. They moved through space without any visible engines, flowing like liquid toward the 5th planet. "Veltar," Kim said urgently, "how long do you have?" "Hours, maybe less," the Kalani leader replied. "Our shields can protect us for a short time, but the Devourers learn to break through any defense. They absorbed the knowledge of 6 different shield technologies from the species they consumed." Dr. Yoon was studying the sensor readings from Moir, the approaching Devourers. "Admiral, these things are incredible. They appear to be part organic, part mechanical. They're using technology from multiple species, but it's all fused together into something new." Kim stared at the approaching dark shapes. Each one was the size of a human cruiser, but they moved with the fluid grace of living creatures. He had never seen anything so terrifying. "Veltar," he said, "what can you tell us about fighting them?" Morden answered instead. "We have tried everything. Weapons that worked against other enemies have no effect. They adapt too quickly. They learn from every attack and become stronger. Have you ever tried human weapons?" Sora asked. "We have no experience with your technology," Veltar admitted. "But we offer you everything we have if you will help us. Our shield technology is more advanced than yours. Our star maps cover this entire region. Our medical knowledge could extend human life by decades. Please, we are desperate." Kim looked at his tactical display. The Devourer fleet was getting closer to the planet. His own fleet was powerful, but these aliens had defeated dozens of other species. What made him think humans could do better? Then he remembered the desperation in that first message. The Kalani were facing extinction, and they had nowhere else to turn. Sometimes the right thing to do was also the hardest thing to do. "All ships," Kim announced to his fleet. "Prepare for combat. We're going to save these people." Park's voice was worried but determined. "What are your orders, sir?" Kim studied the enemy formation. "We're about to find out if human warfare can succeed where others have failed. All ships, attack formation. Let's show these devourers what happens when they threaten innocent people." The human war fleet moved forward into battle, not knowing they were about to change the fate of the entire galaxy. The first battle lasted only 30 minutes, but it changed everything. Admiral Kim watched from his command chair as his fleet engaged the devourer ships above the Kalani homeworld. The human weapons worked, but not the way anyone expected. "Direct hit on the enemy lead ship," reported Lieutenant Choi. "But sir, it's not destroyed, it's changing." On the main screen, Kim saw something that made his skin crawl. The devourer ship had absorbed the explosion from their missiles. Its dark surface rippled like water, and then it fired back using a weapon that looked exactly like human technology. "They learned from our attack," Commander Park said, his voice tight with fear. "In 30 seconds, they copied our missile design and fired it back at us." Captain Sora's voice crackled over the communication system from her ship. "Admiral, conventional weapons aren't working. Every time we hit them, they adapt. We need a new strategy." Kim felt the weight of failure on his shoulders. His powerful fleet, which had won every battle in the Centauri War, was being slowly beaten by an enemy that learned from every attack. "All ships, fall back to defensive positions. We need time to think." The human fleet pulled back while the devourers continued their approach to the Kalani planet. Kim could see the dark shapes moving like a swarm of insects, ready to consume another world. "Bring Veltar and Mord into my ship," Kim ordered. "We need to work together if we're going to save their people." An hour later, the Kalani leaders stood in the flagship's main briefing room. Dr. Yoon Jina had set up her medical equipment to study them, while Commander Park displayed tactical information on the large screens. "Your weapons hurt them," Mordun said, studying the battle recordings. "That is more than any other species achieved, but they adapt too quickly." Veltar looked exhausted. His pale blue skin was even paler than before. "We have perhaps 6 hours before they break through our planetary shields. Then our people will join all the others who have been consumed." Dr. Yoon looked up from her medical scanner. "Veltar, I need to understand something. When the devourers consume a person, what exactly happens?" "They absorb everything," the Kalani leader replied. "Memories, knowledge, even personality. The person becomes part of the devourer collective. Their knowledge makes the enemy stronger." "But you said they've never encountered humans before," Dr. Yoon continued. "What if human minds are different? What if they can't absorb us the same way?" Park leaned forward. "What are you thinking, Doctor?" "I've been studying the Kalani biology," Dr. Yoon explained. "Their brain patterns are similar to many of the species the devourers have consumed, but human brain chemistry is unique. We process emotions and memories differently." Kim felt a spark of hope. "Are you saying humans might be immune to their absorption ability?" "Not immune," Dr. Yoon corrected, "but resistant. It might take them much longer to absorb a human mind, long enough for us to fight back." Mordun's eyes widened. "If this is true, then humans could board their ships. No other species has ever survived close contact with the devourers." Kim turned to his tactical officer. "Park, what do you think?" "It's risky," Park admitted. "If the doctor is wrong, we'll lose boarding parties, but our ship weapons aren't working. We need to try something new." Captain Sora had been listening quietly. Now she stepped forward. "Admiral, let me lead the first boarding mission. My Marines are the best in the fleet." "No," Kim said firmly. "If we're wrong about human resistance, I won't lose my best captain. We'll test this theory with volunteers first." Veltar moved to the tactical display. "There is something else. Our shield technology. If we can modify your ships with our shields, you might survive closer contact with the devourers." How long would that take? Kim asked. Working together, perhaps 4 hours, Morden replied. But we would need to bring Kalani engineers to your ships. Kim made his decision. Do it. Park, organize the shield modifications. Sora, prepare boarding teams but volunteers only. Dr. Yoon, I want you to study every piece of data we have about devourer biology. The next 4 hours were the busiest of Kim's life. Kalani engineers worked alongside human technicians to install alien shield generators on the human ships. The technology was incredible, energy barriers that could adapt to different types of attacks. Dr. Yoon made an important discovery while studying the devourer remains from the battle. Admiral, these creatures aren't just organic or mechanical, they're both. Each individual devourer contains absorbed technology and biology from dozens of species. But the fusion process isn't perfect. There are weak points where different technologies don't integrate properly. Can we exploit those weaknesses? Park asked. Maybe, Dr. Yoon replied. If we can get close enough to study them during combat. Captain Sora reported from the hangar bay. Admiral, I have 60 Marines volunteering for the boarding mission. They know the risks. Kim looked at the tactical display. The Devourers had stopped their approach and were studying the human ships. They seemed to be trying to understand the new Kalani shield technology. They're learning, Veltar observed. They always study their enemies before attacking, but they have never seen human tactics before. Kim smiled grimly. Then let's show them something new. All ships prepare for close combat. We're going to ram right into their formation. Sir? Park looked shocked. That's incredibly dangerous. The Devourers expect us to fight at long range like every other species, Kim explained. They've learned to counter long-range weapons. But humans are good at close combat. We're going to get right up next to them and board their ships. Morden stared at Kim with admiration. No other species would attempt such a plan. They would think it was suicide. Maybe it is, Kim admitted. But sometimes crazy plans are the only ones that work. Feltar, can your remaining ships help with the attack? We have 20 ships left, the Kalani leader said. They are not warships, but they can provide support. Kim stood up and looked around the briefing room. Human officers and alien leaders, working together to save an entire civilization. A few days ago, he had never imagined such a thing was possible. All right, everyone, he announced. Let's go save the galaxy. The combined human Kalani fleet moved into attack formation. The Kalani ships took positions behind the human vessels, their shields protecting both fleets. The human warships pushed forward like an iron fist ready to punch through the Devourer formation. Kim watched the enemy ships on his screen. They were moving to intercept, confident in their ability to adapt to any attack. But they had never faced humanity's greatest weapon, the willingness to sacrifice everything to protect others. All ships, Kim announced to his fleet. Today we fight not just for the Kalani but for every species these creatures have consumed. Today we show the galaxy what humanity stands for. The two fleets rushed toward each other through the darkness of space. Behind them, the last free world in the sector waited to see if the humans could succeed where 20 other species had failed. The battle for the future of the galaxy was about to begin. The space around the Kalani homeworld exploded into the most violent battle Admiral Kim had ever seen. The human fleet crashed into the Devourer formation like a hammer hitting glass. But this glass fought back with the absorbed knowledge of 20 different species. Hull breach on Deck 7, Lieutenant Choi shouted over the noise of explosions. Emergency teams responding. Kim held onto his command chair as another blast shook the ship. Through the main screen, he could see Captain Sora's battleship. Iron Will locked in close combat with a massive Devourer vessel. The alien ship looked like a nightmare made real, part metal, part flesh, with weapons that shifted and changed as he watched. Admiral, Dr. Yoon's voice came through the communication system. The boarding parties are reporting something incredible. The Devourers can't absorb human minds quickly. Our Marines are fighting inside their ships. Kim felt hope surge through him. All ships with boarding capabilities launch your teams. Get as many people as possible onto those enemy vessels. Commander Park was coordinating the battle from his station. Sir, we're losing the frigate Braveheart. The Devourers have adapted to our shields. They're using some kind of energy weapon that cuts right through them. On the tactical display, Kim watched the frigate explode in a ball of fire. Good people dying for aliens they had met only hours ago. But they died fighting, and that mattered. Veltar, Kim called to the Kalani leader, who was helping coordinate their ships. Can your engineers boost our shield power? We are trying, Veltar replied, his blue face tight with concentration. But the Devourers learn so quickly. Every defense we create, they find a way around. Captain Sora's voice crackled through the speakers. Admiral, my boarding team is inside the enemy flagship. Marine Sergeant Huang reports that human weapons are very effective at close range. The Devourers seem confused by our fighting style. Kim smiled fiercely. The Devourers had absorbed the knowledge of many peaceful species, but they had never encountered human military tactics. Humans had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other efficiently. Now that terrible knowledge was being used to save lives. Dr. Yoon, Kim called. What are the boarding teams finding inside those ships? The doctor's voice was filled with horror and fascination. Admiral, it's worse than we imagined. The Devourer ships are filled with absorbed beings from dozens of species. They're all connected to a central mind, but they're still partially aware. The humans are trying to free some of them. Can they be saved? Kim asked. We don't know yet, but the human resistance to absorption is giving us time to study the process. If we can reverse it. A new explosion rocked the flagship. Park's voice was urgent. Admiral, the Devourers are launching some kind of superweapon. It's heading straight for the Kalani planet. Kim looked at the tactical display and felt his blood freeze. A massive dark shape, larger than any ship, was moving toward the planet's surface. If it reached the population centers, millions of Kalani would die. All ships intercept that weapon, Kim ordered. Whatever the cost. Sir, Park said quietly. It would take at least 15 ships working together to stop something that size. We'd lose most of them. Kim looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had followed him through 3 years of war. Now he was asking them to die for aliens they barely knew. But when he looked in their eyes, he saw the same determination he felt. This is Admiral Kim to all ships, he announced to the fleet. The enemy is targeting civilian populations. I need volunteers for a suicide mission to stop their superweapon. Any ship that can't participate should continue the main battle. The response was immediate. Every single captain in the fleet volunteered. Kim felt proud and heartbroken at the same time. Iron Will, Thunderbolt, and 12 others. Form up on my ship, Kim ordered. We're going to ram that thing. Captain Sora's voice was calm. Admiral, my boarding teams are still inside enemy ships. If we pull back now, we'll lose them. Kim closed his eyes for a moment. The hardest part of command was leaving people behind. Sora, get your people out if you can, but the planet comes first. Understood, sir. Iron Will is with you. The 15 human ships broke away from the main battle and raced toward the Devourer superweapon. Behind them, the rest of the fleet continued fighting the smaller enemy ships, trying to buy time. As they got closer, Kim could see that the superweapon wasn't really a ship at all. It was more like a living asteroid, covered in the same dark flesh that had consumed the other planets. Weapons and engines from dozens of different species grew from its surface like metallic tumors. All ships focus fire on the forward section, Kim commanded. We need to slow it down before it reaches the atmosphere. The human missiles and energy beams struck the massive creature, but it barely slowed down. Worse, Kim could see smaller Devourer ships moving to protect it. Admiral, Choi reported, I'm getting signals from inside that thing. It's full of absorbed life forms, thousands of them. Dr. Yoon's voice was urgent. Admiral, if that weapon reaches the planet, it won't just destroy the cities. It will absorb every living thing on the surface. The Devourers will gain the knowledge of the entire Kalani civilization. Kim made the hardest decision of his life. All ships, prepare for ramming speed. We're going right into the heart of that thing. Sir, Park said, even if we destroy it, we probably won't survive the explosion. I know, Kim replied. But sometimes, that's what it takes. Captain Sora's voice came through one last time. Admiral, It's been an honor serving with you. The honor was mine, Sora. All ships, attack. The 15 human ships accelerated toward the Devourer's superweapon like bullets, fired from space. Kim watched the dark mass grow larger and larger on his screen. He thought about Earth, about the families waiting for his fleet to come home. They would never see their loved ones again, but maybe the galaxy would be a little bit safer. Just as the ships were about to impact, something incredible happened. The superweapon suddenly slowed down and started to break apart. Pieces of it spun away into space, no longer under control. "What's happening?" Kim shouted. Dr. Yoon's voice was excited. "Admiral, the boarding teams. They found the central control system inside the enemy ships. Marine Sergeant Huang and his team managed to disrupt the connection between the superweapon and the main Devourer fleet." Kim looked at his tactical display. The human Marines fighting inside alien ships with no hope of rescue had somehow struck a blow that saved an entire planet. "All ships change course. Avoid collision with the debris." The 15 ships pulled away from the breaking superweapon. Around them, the smaller Devourer vessels were also losing control, drifting away from the planet as their connection to the collective mind was severed. Kim opened communication to the entire fleet. "This is Admiral Kim to all ships. The immediate threat to the planet has been neutralized. Well done, everyone." But even as he spoke, Kim knew the battle wasn't over. The Devourers were regrouping, adapting to the human tactics. And somewhere in the darkness of space, more of their kind were probably heading toward human territory. The real war was just beginning. But for the first time since arriving in the Kalani system, Kim felt like humanity might actually win. 3 days after the great battle, Admiral Kim stood in the medical bay of his flagship, looking at something that should have been impossible. Dr. Yoon Ji-na had managed to separate several absorbed beings from the destroyed Devourer ships. They were alive, though changed by their terrible experience. "How many did we save?" Kim asked. 43 individuals from 6 different species," Dr. Yoon replied, "including some Thakari from the planet that was consumed just days ago. Their memories are intact, Admiral. They remember everything the Devourers learned from their people." Kim watched as Kalani medical staff worked alongside human doctors to care for the rescued beings. It was the first time in galactic history that anyone had been freed from Devourer absorption. The sight filled him with hope and determination. Veltar entered the medical bay, moving carefully among the recovering patients. The Kalani leader looked different now, still tired but no longer hopeless. "Admiral Kim, I cannot find words to thank you. You have saved not just our world but given hope to every free species in the galaxy." "We're not done yet," Kim replied. "Commander Park's intelligence teams have been studying the data we captured. The Devourers have consumed dozens of civilizations. They're spreading toward human space and they won't stop until everything is absorbed." Captain Sora joined them, walking with a slight limp from wounds received during the boarding actions. "Admiral, the rescued beings have been sharing information about Devourer tactics. We're learning things no other species has ever known." Kim nodded. The battle had cost them 12 ships and over 3,000 lives, but the knowledge they had gained was priceless. "What's our status, Captain?" "The remaining Devourer ships have retreated deeper into space, but our sensors show them sending signals. They're calling for reinforcements," Sora reported. "We estimate we have maybe 6 months before a larger force arrives." Dr. Yoon looked up from her medical equipment. "Admiral, there's something else. The human resistance to Devourer absorption appears to be unique. None of the other rescued species have this protection. If we can understand why, we might be able to develop defenses for other races." Kim felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Humanity had stumbled into a galactic war, and now they seemed to be the only species capable of fighting it effectively. Commander Park entered the medical bay carrying a datapad. "Admiral, I have the final intelligence report. The situation is worse than we thought." "How much worse?" Kim asked. "The Devourers aren't just random raiders. They're organized. Our rescued prisoners describe a vast empire of consumed worlds, stretching across half the galaxy. Earth and the human colonies are directly in their expansion path. Kim studied the star maps on Park's datapad. Red markers showed known devourer territory, while blue marks indicated free worlds. The pattern was clear. The devourers were systematically consuming everything in their path, moving steadily toward human space. How long before they reach our colonies? Kim asked. At their current rate of expansion, maybe 10 years. But that assumes they don't accelerate their timeline after learning about us. Veltar stepped forward. Admiral, there is something you must know. Before your arrival, we sent messages to every free species we could contact. We told them about the human war fleet and your victory here. Word is spreading across the galaxy. What kind of word? Sora asked. That humanity can fight the devourers and win. Already we are receiving messages from other species asking for help. The Zorathi, the Mendari, the Velkun. All of them are sending delegations to meet with you. Kim felt overwhelmed. 3 days ago he had been a tired admiral heading home from war. Now he was apparently humanity's representative in a galactic conflict, Admiral, Dr. Yoon said quietly. There's something else you need to see. She led him to a communication station where Lieutenant Choi was working with Kalani technicians. Sir, we've been monitoring communications across this region of space. The news of our victory is spreading faster than we expected. The screen showed message traffic from dozens of different species. Kim couldn't understand most of the languages, but the tone was unmistakable. Hope mixed with desperate pleading. They're all asking for the same thing, Choi translated. Military assistance against the devourers. Some of them are offering their entire planetary resources in exchange for protection. Park looked troubled. Admiral, we're talking about defending hundreds of worlds with a single fleet. It's impossible. Maybe not, Kim said slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. Veltar, you mentioned that your people have advanced shield technology. What other technologies do the various species possess? The Kalani leader's eyes brightened. The Zorathi are master shipbuilders. The Mendari have incredible weapons technology. The Velkun are expert at training and tactics. Each species has developed different strengths. Then we don't defend them individually, Kim realized. We train them to defend themselves, and we coordinate their efforts. Sora caught on immediately. A galactic defense alliance. Each species contributes what they do best, and we provide overall military leadership and anti-devourer tactics. Exactly, Kim said. We can't be everywhere at once, but we can teach others how to fight, and Dr. Yoon's research might eventually provide absorption protection for other species. Veltar was practically vibrating with excitement. Admiral, this could work. A united front against the devourers, led by humanity's military expertise. Kim turned to his senior staff. I'm going to need volunteers to stay here and begin setting up this alliance. We'll need to split the fleet. Some ships return to Earth to report what we've found and request reinforcements, while others remain to coordinate the defense effort. I'll stay, Sora said immediately. My ship can serve as the flagship for the Alliance fleet. I'll stay too, Dr. Yoon added. This research is too important to abandon. Park was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Someone needs to go back to Earth and explain this situation to Fleet Command. I'll take half the fleet home and bring back reinforcements. Kim looked around at his team, humans and aliens working together to plan the defense of the galaxy. A week ago, such a thing would have been impossible to imagine. Veltar, he said, to the Kalani leader, I want you to send a message to every free species in the galaxy. Tell them that humanity accepts the role of galactic protector. We will teach them to fight. We will coordinate their defenses. And we will never abandon them to the devourers. As Kim walked back to the bridge, he thought about the choice that had brought them here. Following that desperate alien distress signal had seemed like a simple decision to help someone in need. Now it had made humanity the guardian of galactic civilization. Lieutenant Choi looked up as Kim entered the bridge. Admiral, we're receiving new distress signals. 3 different species under attack by devourer advance forces. Kim settled into his command chair and looked at the star chart. So many worlds, so many species depending on humanity to save them. It was terrifying and inspiring at the same time. Plot courses to all 3 locations, Kim ordered. We're going. to split into task forces and respond to each emergency simultaneously. Sir? Choi asked. What should I tell them? Kim smiled grimly. Tell them help is on the way. Tell them humanity keeps its promises. The human fleet began to disperse across the galaxy, carrying hope to worlds that had never known it. Behind them, the alliance grew stronger each day as new species joined the fight against the Devourers. Admiral Kim had wanted to go home after the Centauri War. Instead, he had found humanity's true purpose among the stars. Not as conquerors, but as protectors. The galaxy had waited a long time for someone willing to stand against the darkness. Now the real war could begin.